We're going to take a break, so everybody's going to get nice and drunk and high, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to really rip this bar open.
Continuously the longest running bar and tavern and hotel in southwestern Ontario.
And I think some of the patrons that drank there then are still drinking here now by the looks of them. It's a testimony to the goodness of alcohol.
If you walk into the Richmond, you should know what you're getting into. It's going to be an experience.
And you never know what's going to happen here. It is the most interesting bar.
Welcome to the Richmond, the bar your great-great-grandfather warned you about. My name is Mark Denchev. I've been at the Richmond now since on and off for the last 30 years.
My name is Dan Denchev. I've been here since 1987. Something about the history of Richmond Hotel. Well, it was built in 1852.
One side was built 10 years prior to the other side, and it was built by a grocer who eventually didn't last very long here, and then it was owned by another guy who owned a brewery in a town called Kensington, and he's the one who turned it into a hotel and bar. And it's operated like that ever since.
When I first bought the building, I was a real estate broker. I was never intending to buy this place. It was just by chance. A friend of mine and I, we bought it together, and then I got kind of stuck with it.
Has it changed much? Yeah, definitely it has. I think the whole industry has changed a lot. So the hotel industry has changed a lot, and the bar industry, and we operate both as separate businesses.
Well, the building was in a rough shape when we bought it. I mean, we put a lot of work into it. It just doesn't appear to be, but we had to replace plumbing, wiring, a lot of drywalling, a lot of painting.
You learn a lot about the building when you're doing this stuff, and you're finding cutouts and old entrances and old stairways and seeing remnants, finding 150-year-old chisels in the floorboards, like really neat stuff. So all the framing in here is done with white oak, which was the native wood to the area. And if you look on the other side of the ceilings, the beams are true 12 by 12 oak beams. Like, you want to talk about strong wood. And there's no hardware. It's all notched and doweled, and it was all done by hand. And to think about that kind of construction, how 160, 70 years later, it's still rock solid, it's pretty fascinating.
Well, it's an old-fashioned tavern. We didn't want to change the atmosphere of it. It's like a living room for many old-timers. They come here every day. They play pool table, they drink beer. They never create any troubles. They're great people.
But then we're also that afternoon spot that people come into after work. We're also that cool meetup spot for all the hipsters and all that have their digital jobs downtown and want to go someplace for a cool kind of 50. And then we're also doing the matinees on the weekend. So all these different kind of things that we do bring in a different kind of clientele, and it's the only way we've been able to survive. The tavern downstairs went from being kind of the neighborhood watering hole, and again, there were 20 or 30 of them in downtown London back in the day, to now we're one of the only ones left. And instead of being kind of the afternoon blue-collar hangout, it's become much more of an event space.
Well, typical night at Richmond, it depends on the night. Obviously, on the weekends, we have great bands.
I really hope that you come down here and you feel a vibe and an energy in here. I really try to have musicians that have a character, that have a personality.
My name is Larry Mudge, but my friends call me Larbo. And this place here is like my honky-tonk now. I call it that. It's the best place in town, you know.
So we have a totally different clientele in the evenings, so a much younger crowd, depending on a band, of course. Like, for example, last Saturday we had Rizdales. They're great, very well-known band in London, and they have a little different clientele, older ones.
So I'm Tom Dunphy. This is my country band playing here today. This is our home club. So there are a lot of venues we could play, but this is the one we choose to play. And so, yeah, I mean, I love it here. And the Richmond has given us a home with my country band and with the Rizdales. And there really is no other place I want to play in the city, or that I prefer to play in the city.
Oh, yeah.
I remember one day on a Saturday, we were all sitting here, and the great band was playing. Singers, a choir. They were a choir of great, big, massive guys. And they all came in this bar. It was packed, and they all stood right there. There must have been 60 of them. 60 big, giant football-sized guys, right? And what the heck is going on? Are they here to kill us? You know, they're so big. And then they started singing. One guy started, then a whole bunch of them got in, and they were the most amazing choir, you know, you ever heard. Powerful, too. And we were just sitting there, and it was just one of them moments, see? That, where does that happen? Never, you know?
We had a band in called the Strap-Ons, which is a funny name for a band. It was an all-woman band. They're absolutely amazing, super, super talented band. But apparently the lead guitarist had toured with Sarah McLachlan for years. And she said, it's gonna be a big crowd, so just be ready for that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I come down for the show, and sure enough, we are slammed. Line up down the street, so I hop on doors, start helping out the staff. I'm checking IDs. We're charging like a $2 cover, like it was nothing. And I'm checking all the IDs, and at the end of the show, I get a tap on the shoulder, and I'm like, hi, and it's a woman who says, I just wanted to thank you for not making a big deal about me being here. I'm like, what are you? I look close, I'm like, it's Sarah McLachlan. I just carded and charged a $2 cover to Sarah McLachlan. Yeah, great to have you, Sarah. Have a great day. So yeah, it's a type of place where a pretty famous person will come through kind of, and you won't even notice.
Well, right now, it's probably one of the last venues in the city that has such a passion for live music. The owners are dedicated to having and helping live musicians play and have a place to play. You can see there's a lot of shenanigans that go on in the midst of that room over a few pints of beer.
It's the best. The owners here have been great to me. You know, I was in a band called the Juke Joint Johnnies back in the late '90s. They gave us a place to play back then. We've been playing here matinees forever. My wife and I, Tara, we front the Risdales. This is our preferred place to play in town, and the room means a lot to us, but the people here mean a lot to us because it's maybe cliche, but it's a great family to be part of.
And so if you're coming down for a show, you're getting a performance, you're getting that ambiance, you're getting that feel. So, you know, our matinee shows will each have their own feel, our nighttime shows each have their own feel. But if you're coming here on a night off, I hope that you're coming in here because you like authentic places. If I were ever to use or narrow it down to just one word about the Richmond, we're authentic. This is a true Southern Ontario tavern. We're not trying to be anything else. We've never been anything else. What you see has been formed by generations of local populace.
Well, what got me in was probably my son back in here because he was playing here, my oldest son, Dylan. And so I came down here, and this was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. He always told me, Dad, get up on that stage, you know, you got something. And I got up and played, and he got me going. So I got to say, you know, hats off to my son and for believing in me too, and being an inspiration for me. And that's really what got me back down here, was him playing here.
Because I grew up here, I ran around here as a kid when my parents drank here. It's kind of like a second home. Or I kind of think of it as kindergarten for old folks.
You know what the greatest feeling is sometimes? Just somebody knowing your name, remembering your name. Because, you know, that there, to me, when somebody calls me by my nickname, for instance, Lerbo, I instantly think of them as my friend.
The Richmond to me is more than a job. It's a bit of a family legacy. I know that kind of sounds really heavy, but from bartender to bouncer to painter to plumber, I do all of it. I wouldn't want to do that anywhere else, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that for someone else. I feel a real sense of ownership over this place, like almost like a steward of some history.
I could describe this place in one word or sentence, eh? I'd have to say fun. Fun and my home away from home. Seriously, it is. That's what it is to me. Yep.